Hello everybody, it's time to read a terrible book. Last time I did a video for the misses, when I was opening the Kindle, I was like, oh, I gotta close this Much Better book. The Much Better book was Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas, and it is really good. It is really good. I have to make sure, okay, it's Berkeley. Nobody's boycotting Berkeley right now. I can actually show this part of the video. This book. You have to get it. You have to go right now. Especially since you've been watching me reading this awful book. You deserve to read something better and something as good as that book. So, now, let's get into the Mister. I actually have to close that book again to get to the Mister. Or the Misses. I'm reading the Misses. Well, wouldn't it be terrible if we were only one book into this? What a fucking nightmare. We are on chapter 17. We're halfway through the book. That's nice. Big fan of that. Alessia is thinking about her upcoming, like, potential auditions for all of these schools, right? And she says, Maxim thinks the Beethoven Moonlight Sonata third movement would, italics, crush it. Yeah, no, I'm sure that Moonlight Sonata is definitely one of those complicated pieces that they all want to hear, all the judges want to hear at those kinds of auditions. We kind of get a recap of everything we already know from Maxim's POV, right? We hear about how she's going to be doing this etiquette course soon. We hear about, like, how Maxim is distracted and he's frustrated because his mom won't return his calls. And maybe his mom doesn't love him, or, you know, does Maxim love his mom? All of this stuff, right? All of this stuff that we already got in Maxim's POV, we are in Alessia's POV, and we have to hear it again. Alessia doesn't even get events to happen in her own POV, apparently. Finally, something plot-oriented is going to happen to Alessia. Alessia checks her phone to see if Maxim has texted her. There's nothing, but an email from Paul Maddox appears in her inbox. Her scalp tingles, and butterflies flutter in her stomach. He has information about her grandmother's family. Already, with trembling fingers, she dials his number. Section break! Because none of the action can happen on the page. Whatever is about to happen with Alessia, we need to hear it later. We get to hear about anything happening later on when they're in bed about to fall asleep and they just recount it to us. I feel like someone needs to take E.L. James aside and explain to her that she's perfectly capable of, well, I wouldn't say capable of, but she's perfectly welcome to try writing a book in past tense. If she wants everything to be in past tense, the easiest way to do that is to start out in past tense and then show everything that's happening in the story. The reason that we can't see Alessia's phone call is because we need to go to Maxim's work, and we need to hear about brochures that have come in for distillery equipment, because remember, he wants to make gin, and whether or not the new house needs to be redecorated before they move in. If they have a move-in date, they don't. All of that, maybe I'm just bored with the move-in date and the redecorating and stuff, because I just went through that as like a futile exercise from June of this year until October, but only to be in the exact same place. But I don't feel like it's more important for us to know that than it is for us to know about the phone call and what's happening on that phone call. Especially since this whole thing with wanting to find her grandmother's family is like, I don't know, brand new in the last chapter. I have no idea why it came up or why it needed to be added, but it's there. oh, we're gonna find out that she's like a countess or something. You know what? No, I hope she finds out that she's Maxim's fucking cousin. It won't matter. They're nobility, right? But it'll just be gross and I'll have a really good time. The press is still hounding Maxim about his fascinating wife. He texts his mother. This time it's not, you know, fucking call me or I'm cutting you off. Oops, you don't have money anymore. And it's, Mama, please call me. I'm begging you. Or, you know, whatever. I'm not seeing the genetic counselor who advised Kit for another week. And I need to know, am I a walking time bomb or not? A whole week, huh? We do get to go back to the phone call, at least. We go back. The inexplicable choices made in this book. The inexplicable choices to jump from just before the phone call to Maxim's office to back to the phone call. What? Why? Why is this happening? Paul's big news is that Grandma Virginia has a brother and he is still alive. So we have a great uncle in play here. And she asks, okay, but now do you have any information about Blariana? And he's like, no, that's a little bit more tricky, which, you know, like, obviously, right? Like, just chill your bones a little bit, Alessia. She does find out that the traffickers are still in custody. They are no longer an issue, right? Oh ho! Look how things work out. This is what she receives about the mystery great uncle from Paul Maddox. This is what she gets. Tobias Andrew Strickland, date of birth 4th September 1952, age 66. Address, the Furs House, Kew Green, Kew, Surrey, TW93ZJ. I'm sorry, but your postal codes are like our license plates here. Just in case, if you're in the UK and you're wondering if your postal codes are anything like our license plates, there you go. Marital status, single. Employment, emeritus professor of music, Worcester College, Oxford. Duh. That's staying in. That's staying in. I got so hung up on whether or not I was pronouncing Worcester correctly, because here it would be like Worcester. Is that how they pronounce it there too? Anyway, I got so sidelined by that I forgot to put the D on Oxford. Anyway, Alessia has a great uncle who was a professor of music. Musical ability must run in her family. So that's convenient. We don't have to worry about whether or not she's gonna get into college now. How convenient. What's interesting though is that she looks it up like on Google Maps and sees that she actually, when she was living there after having been trafficked, she was living very, very close, like just across the river from where he lives. Alessia thinks, you know, she should visit this guy and introduce herself, you know, let him know that she exists, his family exists. But then she's like, maybe should I tell, you know, should I tell my husband that I have found this family member, or should I just put it off, because that's the only way my author can, you know, make conflict, is if people just don't talk to each other. Oh, what do I do? That's what's going on right now. I'm just skimming over it, but that's basically what's happening. There's a section break. Caroline is texting Maxim. Once again, texting Maxim that she intends to take Alessia out to buy clothes. Now, Maxim has already taken Alessia out to go clothes shopping, but Carolyn is still going to do this. Now, we have heard nothing but her going to take Alessia shopping. Like, we've heard nothing but that for, like, I don't know, the whole fucking book practically, right? And I don't think it's gonna happen. This is like the wedding. Remember when I thought the wedding wasn't gonna happen? I feel like this isn't gonna, I feel that she ain't gonna go shopping with Caroline. She is, and it's gonna be like, she's gonna buy something inappropriate for the party, and it's gonna be a big scandal, and in all the papers, and there'll be book 3, I don't know. Because, I mean, like I said, I'm at 50%, and even though there isn't a lot of plot, just the way that this has unfolded so far, it seems like there isn't enough time to wrap up the very flimsy little plot conflict things that have been set up. I just feel like with the huge amount of nothing that has been stuffed into this book, there just isn't going to be, if we continue down that road, there's not going to be time. So I guess it's a good thing that we don't really give a fuck. I know it has been a minute since we have gotten a fuck a duck in this book. Don't worry, it's gonna happen. A reporter calls him and asks, is it true that you're married to your cleaner? And he knows her name, right? His question winds me as if his fist is slammed into my... Oh, wins. It wins. Alright. His question wins me as if his fist is slammed into my solar plexus. I hang up without making a comment. How the hell did the slimy bastard get my number? And how did he get Alessia's name? My phone rings again, but I block the number. Fuck a duck. Why did she do this? I feel like she cannot possibly think that is some sort of like strong alpha male thing for him to be thinking. And I feel like if it's meant to be comedy, you wouldn't put it in a spot like this. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of pressure behind my eyes right now. I feel a lot of pressure behind my eyes right now. He thinks about how he needs to, like, warn Alessia's parents about the press. This man, okay, I know we've talked about how, like, yes, there are some people have left comments, and yes, there are some people in the UK who are, like, minor nobility, considered party people, and they get, like, you know, tabloid interest. This man believes that journalists from England are gonna go to Albania because they're so interested in the, like, this is the fame, this is the level of fame that has been set up. So now we are at legitimately, like, Prince William, Prince Harry levels of fame, I think is what she's trying to convey here, is that he's so famous. People will fly to Albania and find his in-laws because he's of that much public interest that that would make sense economically. They would stand to make so much money off of the immense interest in him that it would justify flying to Albania. What is this book? They're gonna go to the party, by the way. Remember the party that was just talked about in the last chapter? And it was talked about pretty much at length by Carolyn on the phone, right? Tomorrow night, Alessia and I will be guests at Dmitry Egonov's annual spring bash. Which, oh wait, there's a more important thing. Before I start reading this, Caroline has also already said that they are coming to the party. She says, you are coming to Dimitri's, as like she orders it in this text earlier in this chapter. So it was mentioned in the last chapter, it was mentioned in this chapter once already. Tomorrow night, Alessia and I will be guests at Dmitry Egonov's annual spring bash, which will be attended by the great and the good and the not so good, so there'll be no doubt. The world will know we're married, and the grimy, slimy weekend news can fuck off. We know you're going to that party. I really do believe that E.L. James became a huge Sarah J. Maas fan in the time between, the Mister and this, because so much, like, the repetitive writing, telling us the same thing over and over, the very simple plots that could be very simply taken care of if people communicated, the non-stop with the ellipses, oh my god, I mean, and the M dashes, please. So I just really think that there's a very negative outside influence. And if someone had told me that there was a writer bad enough that could negatively influence E.L. James's style, I would have laughed, but here we are. There's a section break, and they're having sex. Always, always in this book. Conveniently, it's the next morning. It's when Carolyn says that she is going to come pick up Alessia and they're going to go shopping. And wouldn't you know it, Maxim forgot to mention any of that. And now he's naked in his home with his own wife, in his own home. And he's like completely flummoxed at somehow being caught or something. The scene is very bizarre to me because I feel like, you know, you're allowed to have sex with your wife in your house. I thought. Anyway. And Maxim hasn't even mentioned the party to Alessia. We're going to a party. An acquaintance. That's if you want to. Okay, she says, but her eyes are wide with uncertainty. It should be fun. Go shower. I'll entertain Caroline. I zip up my jeans. If you want to entertain Caroline, you don't need to zip up your jeans. Oh, and he goes to the door shirtless to let her in, because that's what we do when we know that our brother's widow has the hots for us. We just wander around shirtless in front of her. He does put on a t-shirt so that it will stop her from checking out my torso. She asks if she interrupted them having sex. What an inappropriate question. Oh God, I hate Caroline. I hate her. And I don't want to. I don't want to fall into the trap of hating her just because she's like the other woman or the romantic competition. But that's not even it, because I don't give a fuck about these people. What I hate is just the way that she's so obvious and like so graphic and tenacious. Tenacious. She makes a point of going to make coffee. Carolyn comes in and then goes to make coffee in their kitchen and then tells Maxim that she knows how he likes it. Like, come on. It's so telegraphed. It's like so, Alessia showers in record time. She doesn't trust Carolyn and doesn't want to leave her sister-in-law alone with Maxim, who happens to be Carolyn's ex-lover. Carolyn is still in love with him, or so Alessia thinks. Thank you for the recap. At 50% into the book, I had not yet figured out from the last book that Carolyn was Maxim's lover, even though it's mentioned multiple times so far in this book. And I had completely forgotten that she was aggressively pursuing him, even though that just happened in the paragraph above the section break above this paragraph. She brings up the whole catching them having sex thing again to Alessia. So, Carolyn, oh my God. One of the things that I really enjoy about a book, I don't like to ever get the feeling that I am too immersed in it. I don't ever want to get the feeling that I am making conclusions for myself or drawing from the text in front of my eyes any sort of knowledge that hasn't been explicitly stated for me by the author, which is why I enjoy E.L. James's writing so much. For example, Carolyn intimidates Alessia. No shit! No shit. No shit. Carolyn will not shut up about sex. She will not stop talking about their sex life. Because Alessia has to go to the spare bedroom to get her jacket, because remember, that's where she's keeping all of her clothes. And then this is what happens. Spare room? Don't tell me you have separate beds already, Caro scoffs. Because you being half-dressed is not what that looks like. I give her an exaggerated sigh, irritated by her teasing. No, separate wardrobes. Ah, look, I get it. She's a tempting little morsel, isn't she? She sounds wistful, and I cock my head in warning. Oh, relax, Maxim. You're newlyweds. You must be at it like rabbits. I rake a hand through my hair. This is none of your fucking business. Yes, exactly. It is none of your fucking business, Caroline. And then the other thing, then he immediately moves on to be like, oh, where are you taking her shopping? I would kick this bitch out on the street. I would just punt her onto the street. He hugs Caroline because she says that like she knows what it's going to be like for Alessia to be lonely because all of Kit's friends were her friends. Like basically Carolyn doesn't have a lot of friends. God, I wonder why. But Carolyn doesn't have a lot of friends because they were all Kit's friends, and then she says grief has kind of driven them away. And she gets a little bit teary about it, and talking about how, you know, about Alessia being lonely. So so Maxim hugs her and says, you know, maybe I can forge a friendship with Alessia. And Alessia sees this interaction and she's like, okay, that's actually really sweet that he's like comforting her. So, I mean, like, I still think it's a trap, but Alessia with Caroline. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I don't want Caro upsetting Alessia again. Though she seemed genuinely remorseful after the last time, Caro is like the proverbial bull in a china shop regarding other people's feelings. I hadn't noticed before. Before Alessia. There's an ellipses in there. There's a ... But I like how he didn't notice that Carolyn is a bull in a china shop with other people's feelings when she like immediately fucked him right after his brother, her husband, died. Like, no, thanks for letting us know that emotionally Carolyn isn't the strongest and best person, right? Oh, there's gonna be sword fighting, I swear, because he's thinking about, like, how this is the first time he's been alone in the apartment since the time that Alessia got kidnapped. And so he calls Tom, and Tom says he'll grab his blade and they'll meet at the club. I swear to God, if he comes out with a sword, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like, that could be only the most Poldark thing that she could actually pull off in this, is that there's gonna be a duel. Because I know, do you know what when they dueled on Poldark? They had, pistols. So, I don't know. So, Carolyn takes her to a salon. We're at a salon, and Alessia is thinking about the day, that they've had, and the shopping that they've done, while she's getting her hair washed, right? And she says Carolyn's been friendly and that she helped her buy 2 gowns and that they were very, very expensive, and that Caroline is like telling her like you're gonna just wear these over and over, and you're gonna, which I think might be a trick. I feel like maybe she's making her spend a lot of money thinking that it's gonna make Maxim not like her, right? Like, oh, she looks like a gold digger because she's spending all this money, because she says, these pieces are classics and will last you for years, and you look fabulous in both. But will they last her for years, or can she not double up? Because you can't wear, from what I understand, if you're fancy, you can't wear the same thing twice. All right? I am not fancy, but from what I understand is that if you are fancy, you can't wear the same things twice. I feel like I fell down and I hit my head, and then in my concussion dream, I have gone back into the 1960s. But the truth is, Alessia feels indolent. This is not a life she ever aspired to, spending outrageous amounts on high-end fashion and grooming. But her apartment is spotless, Maxim and Alessia's clothes clean and ironed, ... And now and again, a woman needs to spoil herself, or so says Carolyn. Well, I'm glad that your apartment is spotless and your husband's clothes are clean, so that you can take this little me time for yourself, even though you feel bad about it. What the am I reading? What is this? They are sword fighting! They're fencing! That's what's happening at the club! The club is fencing! Soylent Green is people! And Maxim is not good at it today. Maxim is not good at it today. Joe asks him if he's okay because he's doing so badly. I gape at him through the mesh of my mask. My mother is AWOL. My brother may have killed himself because of a genetic disorder that I may or may not have, and some scummy hack is digging into my nuptials. Like, tell him he's your friend You could, like, tell him that this was going on. You can't tell your wife, obviously, because you don't talk to her. All you do is watch her cook, think about how great it is that she used to be your housekeeper, and then you have sex. That's, like, your relationship. So this isn't a level of stuff that you can talk to her about, but definitely you should be able to talk to your fencing buddy, right? They're in the car, they're heading home. It's been a good day, and then Caroline just, like, drops the bomb of, like, oh, you know, I won't be able to hang out very much because I'm going to be working for Maxim. Surprise, surprise. I'm going to be working for Maxim and taking care of the Mayfair property, and I have to put my special sparkle to it. Special sparkle? What does that mean? Right? Thank you. Carolyn works for Maxim. This is news. How closely do they work together? Not as closely as Caroline would like. You wanna hear about Saint Alessia? Carolyn mentioned something about going back to work after her husband's death, and Alessia sees that she's, like, upset at the mention of Kit's death, so she takes her hand. This is literally written in the book. Alessia's compassion shines in her kind smile, and they continue their journey in silence for a few moments. Her compassion shines. She tells Caroline that she would love to work, but she can't because she doesn't have a visa, which I feel like maybe she shouldn't be telling Caroline that, because I feel like with all of the stuff we had to hear about, but you know what, Jenny, stop trying to set. Here's the thing that I always end up doing with the books that we read, either like what we're reading here or what we've read on the blog. I always end up trying to guess what's going to happen next, and it's never going to happen because these people don't write the thing that should happen next. Because what should happen next is Carolyn, because she's been set up to be the evil bitch other woman, should be at this point going, oh, she doesn't have a visa. I am going to go fuck up her immigration status. But I bet that won't even happen. Like, even though we've heard nothing but about how difficult and complicated everything is with immigration, I don't think that's going to happen, even though it seems like this information is being imparted for a reason. They talk about the fact that Carolyn went to this finishing school. She wasn't actually nobility ahead of time, or aristocracy, as she says, ahead of time, and Kit was very particular about how things were done. And Alessia is like, oh, you know, and Carolyn says, yes, he was a bit of a snob, to be honest. Everything had to be just so. Maxim isn't like that. Ouch! Alessia even thinks that she means, like, because he married her, he's not, you know, a snob. Caroline is actually really nice to her in here. She talks about how nice her hair looks and how she's going to be stunning at this party and to have confidence, and it does build up Alessia's confidence. So I guess in this case, I can actually appreciate that something is happening here where it's not just evil other woman, as we usually would see from this author. I say usually as if she's written this huge amount, like this huge amount of work, but we've read like a fanfic and like 3 books. Oh, and I guess the first one in this series. Carolyn explains that the party is being held by this ex-KGB, like, oligarch guy who's trying to get into society, and it's going to be so much fun. And then she goes back to talking about Maxim, and it's like, oh, he's really protective of you, he's really different with you, and, you know, he's always avoided intimacy, so, like, you've done this, you know, you've done the impossible by landing him. And it makes Alessia uncomfortable. Interestingly enough, the exchange to me reads more like it's possible Alessia is uncomfortable because we know that she does not talk candidly about her feelings with the people at home either. In fantasy alternate world Albania, where everyone is very proper and nobody talks about their feelings, she is... you know, like, so this might make her more uncomfortable. I get that. I get that. And then Carolyn is like, oh, you cook for him, that's so cool, and I saw that you had like a really good relationship with your mother, and that's neat. You know, I don't have a good relationship with my mother, and kind of like starts talking about all the ways that like her life is lonely. And then Alessia's like, well, you could come over and eat dinner with us sometime. And then she's like, well, can I go to the party with you tonight? She's gonna pull some shit. She's gonna pull some shit at this party. This, oh, I'm so lonely. Can I accompany you to the party? She's gonna do some shit like be like all over Maxim in these paparazzi photos or something like that. And it's gonna be all this manufactured drama that's just gonna escalate, because I swear to God, there are just some authors that do not know how to wrap up a plot without just escalating and escalating. And then more has to happen, and then more has to happen. And I have a feeling that that's what's gonna go on here. She also invites her over for pre-party cocktails at their house. And Alessia is very afraid of going to this party, but she's like, sure. So I don't know, maybe Caroline will get Alessia super drunk before the party, and it'll like make her look bad or something, because she's worried about looking bad or saying the wrong thing. And then she thinks, what could possibly go wrong? And then that's the end of that chapter. Ooh, suspenseful. What could possibly go wrong? So yeah, that is chapter 17. And just more of a lot of nothing. More of a lot of people talking about stuff that will eventually happen, maybe, kind of, sort of. A little bit in the future, possibly. We don't know. Stay tuned, I guess. In the meantime, yeah, check out this book that I recommended at the beginning of the thing. It's so good. I have it on my Kindle, but like I bought it in hardcover just so I could see it. Just so I could see it on the shelf. I bought it in hardcover just so I could remember all the good times I am having with this book. Vampires of El Norte. Isabel Cañas. Read it. It's really good. It's so good. I've got another book by the same author called The Hacienda, and I might jump straight into it after this one. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my book rec. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the description box for information on other stuff. If you enjoyed this, consider joining my Patreon. Consider, we make fun of books over there too. Consider reading my Ogre book, dropping a few bucks in the Ko-Fi, whatever, coffee, Ko-Fi, whatever. And tell all your friends who like bad books to come see me. I'm always reading one. Not this one though, not this one. Read this one. This one's good. And I will catch you on the flip side.